Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly. Before we get started today, I did want to give a heads up and a trigger warning to this current episode. We are going to be talking about moments of self-harm at certain points throughout it, so if that is a particularly difficult topic for you as of right now, and especially with the seasons changing, it being a very difficult topic for a lot of people very much such as myself, this may be an episode that you might want to skip and join us next week when we talk about other such things. If currently right now you are dealing with issues of self-harm, I would highly encourage you to please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or the Trevor Lifeline at 866-488-7386. Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being totally cool with us taking a week off. That was definitely not by our choice, I will say.
It was not intentional.
Yeah, we recorded a full episode on the results for third parties after the presidential election, and it was going to kind of be a short little one-off thing. So we figured, the election's nuts. We're not gonna anything we say is not really going to matter.
We're still waiting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just fell into the great beyond as soon as we closed Zoom. Nothing saved, and that one's just for the angels now, I guess. I don't know.
I maintain that, touch wood. I'm amazed it hasn't happened earlier. And that it was just for a goof, the election happened. Let's, if nothing else, do a wellness check for each other.
Yeah.
And a wellness check for Rocky.
Oh, poor Rocky. Well, we did get a request to do a summary of how the election went for third parties. So instead of doing the 40-minute episode like we'd planned, we're going to open up today's episode talking about how things turned out for third parties.
Hey!
We should start with our good old friend, patron saint of the podcast, Rocky De La Fuente. So initially, I didn't think Rocky did that well, but I recently went on to Dave Lieb's U.S. Election Atlas, which is one of my favorite websites. It's pretty much like GeoCities, but it keeps track of every single election that ever happened, and he's already starting to put together all the popular vote totals. And as of right now, Rocky De La Fuente is in 5th place in the popular vote.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great, Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky has right now 71,530 votes, which equals 0.05% of all the votes cast. And you might be thinking to yourself, that's really bad for 5th place. Well, the other thing we learned is it was a bad year to run for president as a third-party candidate.
It was a year where everyone's yell about maybe not voting the party this time around actually got through some skulls.
Yeah, the Green Party got absolutely devastated in the presidential race as of right now. The last time I looked, Howie Hawkins was only able to get 1% in Maine. The Green Party got 0.07% in Alaska, but that's mostly because they were running Jesse Ventura there instead of Howie Hawkins. So the Green Party did not do very well this time around. And
do you think it's because the people who would be voting for, or the new generation people who would be voting for the Green Party, can see the future in, say, an AOC presidential candidacy? They just see a future elsewhere.
I think so, yeah. It's probably that. Progressives getting hit really, really hard for the past 4 years and somehow getting the blame for Trump winning rather than the multitude of other things that occurred that led him to victory. And so at least from my point of view, I feel like there were a lot more people who were like, all right, let's not give them a single excuse going into this and just vote 100% for Biden, and then we'll see where the chips fall.
And then we will chip away.
Then we will still get blamed for not winning enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great first step going into the next election wherein Trump may run again, or a better, smarter Trump may.
Oh, Dusty, no, come on.
Look, this is exactly why we have to be tough as fuck to the Democratic Party. We have to be like, look, you fuckers, you need to do some of the stuff we want too, because you need us. You don't like us, but you fucking need us. So until we can make our own third party and you could be the centrist party, you're fucking stuck with us.
Just talking about mentioning Trump running again, because you're right. That's totally why wouldn't that be a possibility?
Yeah, he's gonna Grover Cleveland that shit. He's gonna win, lose, win in his brain.
Here's hoping he runs as a third party candidate.
Oh Lord, that would be glorious. But yeah, so Howie Hawkins did not do well. Just as comparison, the last time when the Green Party ran with Dr. Jill Stein, they got a little bit over 1% of the popular vote. This time, Howie Hawkins got exactly a quarter of that, with 0.24% of the vote. It was a devastating year for the Green Party when it came to that. They also completely lost their party status in New Mexico, so they are no longer automatically qualified for the ballot there.
in New Mexico, no less.
That turquoise jewelry ain't saving you now.
No, everyone died in one of those heat sauna mystical bullshit things run by old white guys.
Oh man, yeah, a bunch of old white guys who heard about vision quests and took all of the wrong lessons from it.
Yeah, and also took all the peyote.
Yep. So I would say things weren't worse for the Libertarian Party. Jo Jorgensen ended up getting a third of what they got last time around, but I mean, Jo's not a household name. She's not a former governor. Her running mate wasn't a former governor. So I think being able to top out over 1% and getting 1.7 million votes in a year like this is humongous for the Libertarians.
I would say of all third parties, they're the ones truly hanging in there.
Yeah. And I am a huge fan of a tweet they recently did. Former governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, took to the Twitterverse to complain that people voted for Jo Jorgensen instead of Donald Trump, costing him Wisconsin. To which the Libertarians said, "Your tears taste delicious."
To which I say, yeah, eat it. How does it feel?
Well, I mean, it's not even that. It's, the 1.17% of Libertarians who voted for Jo Jorgensen, they weren't going to vote for anyone fucking else. I guarantee that shit. Like, they are hardcore Libertarian or fucking die, folks. You were not getting those votes otherwise.
And you know what? Props to them for having a candidate that they truly wanted to vote for.
Exactly.
Right there.
Yeah, it's not like Jo Jorgensen was a horribly terrible candidate. I mean, after she did that podcast with some Boogaloo Boys, that was kind of the last time she did that. So, you learn, you move on.
Yeah, probably more than we could say about like some other candidates.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Our good friend Kanye West ended up finishing, as of right now, he's in 7th, finishing behind Gloria La Riva of the Peace and Freedom Party. Based out in
Gloria,
in the Socialism and Liberation Party. Gloria got a number of nominations. Finishing behind Kanye was Don Blankenship, and rounding out the top 10, former child actor of the Mighty Ducks and cryptocurrency enthusiast Brock Pierce.
Sorry, Brock.
Not a good time. And also based on the folks that we covered in the last episode, if you haven't listened, we went over the 3 people who we thought had the best chance to win their races. None of them did. So John Wayne Howe, running for Senate in Alaska, ended up getting 5%, finished in 3rd place, but still real solid showing for the Alaskan Independence Party, and we will see what they do in the next election if they can keep this momentum going. Following that, Don Rainwater ran for governor in Indiana. He ended up finishing 3rd, but got around 12% of the vote, if I'm remembering correctly. Ended up doing really solid, but lost heavily to Eric Holcomb, who got 55% of the vote. And finally, our favorite best boy, Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. Ricky ran for Senate of Arkansas. He was running just against Tom Cotton and no one else. Ended up getting 33.3% of the vote. And to date, has the best result of any federal race that a libertarian has ever run.
Maybe take note, other libertarians.
Yeah, maybe add some empathy to your free market optimism.
To your diet, yes.
So it was a really good run for Ricky. He did not come close to winning, but honestly, I'm very excited to see what he does from here on out. But now the big winners of everything. In the episode that we ended up not being able to save, we did bring up some honorable mentions to some regional parties, because the regional parties seem to do really, really well in this election. The United Utah Party, which is a centrist party in Utah, had multiple state candidates who got more than 20% of the vote in their races. None of them won, but for a relatively new party, honestly, really impressive.
Go beige.
And in Hawaii, the Aloha Aina Party, which is a party based on Native Hawaiian sovereignty, ran a bunch of just absolute sweetheart, lovely individuals for state races and got a number of them with over 20% of the vote in their very first year that they were on the ballot. So it's ecstatically excited to see how the Aloha Aina Party does in the next elections.
Yeah, keep that momentum going.
So my personal favorite of ever when they ran, a fellow by the name of Andy Umi Sexton Jr., who is a member of the Blues Hall of Fame for building up a community of blues musicians in Hawaii, who also serves on the board of many houselessness organizations and other social service organizations across the state.
So beautiful.
If there's anyone I really want to end up into some government level, it should be a guy like Andy Umi Sexton Jr.
Yes.
But aside from that, we did have 2 big winners for third parties. To my big surprise, the Green Party ended up getting their current 2nd mayor.
Hey, all right.
In the California city of Baldwin Park, a 26-year-old accountant by the name of Emmanuel Estrada is now the newest mayor of the city.
Snaps upon him. Good job.
Along with that, they were able to get around a dozen other people elected and reelected, most of which are service districts and things like that, water districts, and a couple of city council positions. However, the big win would come to the Libertarians because they are doing humans work. They're running everywhere.
They're
not
out
just
and
running for
proud.
president and hoping. So this year, the Libertarians were able to elect and reelect about 18 people, mostly to city council positions. But their big win comes with a fellow by the name of Marshall Burt in Wyoming. So in our last episode, we talked for a bit about how Wyoming might end up becoming the place where libertarians have their biggest win. We talked about a young woman who was running for the state house there in the 55th district by the name of Bethany Baldus. Bethany ended up losing by 32 votes. Very closely got in, didn't quite do it. So
My heart goes out to you, Bethany.
She's been working really hard. I would be shocked if she doesn't eventually end up in public office in some way or another. But the big win came via a fellow by the name of Marshall Burt. Now, Marshall is a full-time railway worker, part-time firefighter, and a Marine Corps veteran.
God, I'm sure he also is like the cover image to many sultry romance novel paperbacks.
Yes.
And if not, he better be.
Look, if there is any sort of fan fiction that comes out of this podcast, I would nominate
Oh my God.
Marshall Burt fan fiction needs to be first.
Yes, 100%.
So Marshall was facing off against a Democratic incumbent named Stan Blake. And the fun thing about Stan Blake is Stan has represented this area of Wyoming since 2007. And never once has Stan Blake faced a competitor. Not in the primary, not in the general election. He just got the nomination and then just stayed there until Marshall Burt was his first ever competitor.
Marshall Burt with his calloused hands.
His rugged exterior.
His rough way of talk.
His goatee that smells like singed wood. All right, definitely putting the explicit warning on this one. And so Marshall ended up winning. By 276 votes, Marshall Burt became the first ever libertarian nominated to state office in Wyoming.
Love it.
And honestly, it's a position he might be able to hold for quite some time, especially if, like Stan Blake, no one runs for about 13 years.
But he wouldn't like that. I bet, if anything, he wants as many people competing against him for this position because he wants people to have a choice.
Exactly.
Let the free market of this election. Yes.
So congratulations to Marshall Burt and Emmanuel Estrada. You guys did amazing work this year hitting those high positions, and good luck to you for the rest of your campaigns going forward.
Snaps to you. Please don't go crazy and take away the entire tax base revenue of your town.
Exactly.
Promise it won't end well.
It's not like we don't have multiple examples, but one day. That's a story for another day. But the story for today, though, is Una, I'm going to need your help.
Oh, no.
I'm going to need you to be jokes on jokes on jokes.
Oh, no.
Now, this one is, I was having a hard time figuring out what this episode was going to be, and I stumbled upon a story that was so interesting, I couldn't resist telling it and wrote it up just today. So,
oh my gosh,
it has bumped what we were going to talk about, and I'm very excited to talk about it. It is quite a bummer for a bit.
When isn't it?
It's a bummer. It's about complicated people and some real sons of bitches.
Ooh, now we're really talking some fan fiction.
Oh, yeah. And so today, we're going to be talking about three things all at once. The 1954 Wyoming Senate election, Senator Lester C. Hunt, and what would be known as the Lavender Scare.
Ooh, the Lavender Scare.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Strapping in.
So let's go all the way back in our time machine to 1920. And for a moment in Gadfly, we're going to put on our protective suits, step outside of America for a little bit, and we're going to talk just the tiniest bit about Weimar Germany, where everything good starts.
Love it. Yes.
Especially in the 1920s.
Great booze, great dancers.
Yeah. It's
probably very legal drugs.
Look, if there's anything I've learned about the musical cabaret, everything's great. I left early, so, I'm sure things are fine.
No spoilers.
No.
But what's the spoil?
Look, Neil Patrick Harris was divine. I saw his butt, and then I left because I saw everything I needed to see.
Yeah, done.
The dad from Happy Days was in it. He sang about pineapples, and I was like, high note, let's go.
Yeah.
So in 1921 Weimar Germany, a book was published by the name of Sexual Bolshevism and Defense Against Same, and had been published by a Lutheran pastor by the name of Ludwig Hopp. In short, Hopp made the accusation that communism and homosexuality were interlinked, and that the more society was to accept LGBTQ plus folks, the more likely the society would fall into communism. So while Hopp's phrase didn't become massively popular during the times of the Weimar Republic, it did catch on once a dude named Hitler rose to power and fueled the Nazis in their justification in persecuting and murdering LGBTQ plus people, not just on moral grounds, but on the fear that all of them were secret communists as well.
What? Well, this is this is already making the 50s make even more sense in my brain. So please continue. I hear sexual Bolshevism and I'm like, where do I sign up? This sounds great.
Yeah. And that phrase is typically more referred to as cultural Bolshevism, or as you might hear nowadays, cultural Marxism, which is the big alt-right term to throw around, that the more liberal people get, the more likely they're going to turn like socialist, communist, Leninist.
I'm amazed that they're throwing Marxist in. I'm honestly more impressed that that I don't know more about that side of the internet. It's like, oh, I haven't heard that yet. This is good. This is so good for me. I'm so
it means
happy
your
right
browser
now.
is clear and has a wonderful conscience. Yeah, cultural Marxism nowadays is used mostly towards the white nationalists and the alt-right sphere use it quite a bit. So if you're hearing someone talking about cultural Marxism, more than likely they're secretly a Nazi, but won't come out and say that because it's bad for the brand.
And ooh, they might get banned from Twitter.
Well, good thing there's Parler, I guess. Anyway, so the idea of sexual Bolshevism ended up becoming really big, especially because one of Hitler's biggest things that allowed him to rise to power was the threat of the communists. And being able to link these two things together made it all the easier for him to justify putting these people away. Specifically, I believe it was Himmler, who was very, very homophobic and led these sort of movements towards placing homosexuals in camps. So LGBTQ plus people would be imprisoned, tortured, forcibly castrated, and murdered by the Nazis from 1933 to 1945. And of course, America being America, went and learned all the wrong lessons from World War II. Most specifically for today, that sexual Bolshevism was a thing, and we should totally believe in it.
Yes. that panic within me as I come back and not process my PTSD is just going to manifest itself into sexual Bolshevism and the fear of.
Like, sexual Bolshevism feels like it'd be a really good magazine nowadays.
It would be a very fun online journal, like really well designed, great articles. And then for a certain fee, you would have access to like, the actual pornographic material.
So essentially Playboy's current model.
Yes, but cool.
Yeah, we're going to make it cool again. Take that 20-year-olds who are running Playboy right now.
This is also like, I feel like this episode should also encourage everyone listening to go watch Dr. Strangelove immediately after, because that's all that I'm thinking about right now is the purity of essence.
Everyone sitting in a conference room talking about drinking rainwater and vodka.
Yes.
Oh, such a good movie.
Fighting in the war room.
So following World War II, America and the USSR kept the party going with a decades-long Cold War between superpowers. There was spying, international incidents, enough nukes to both end the world and, in theory, keep both nations from ending the world. But in the US State Department, there was also a sudden shift in hiring requirements. You see, the government had got this idea that if someone is gay, then that makes them an immediate security risk. Their fucked up theory was that if a Soviet agent was able to seduce a State Department employee into super awesome gay sex, then they would have immeasurable amounts of blackmail to use against said person.
Without thinking that's like, you're only making the blackmail stronger. Like, that's what you're doing. Like, you allowed this. What good are these photos? Who cares?
And we know that this isn't something that happens with straight people. I mean...
Yeah, but then it's sexy.
Look, I'm not...
It's a hot honeypot situation.
This is not about ruining the fantasy of James Bond, Una. So in turn, these people would become spies for the Russians to keep their sexuality free from public knowledge. And there were a couple ways America could deal with this problem. One tactic to fight this could be to just accept that human sexuality is a construct that varies in many awesome ways, in turn making sexuality something you couldn't blackmail someone over, and ensuring the country's safety all in one fell swoop. The other option, though, was to just purge all people suspected of being homosexual from the State Department.
They chose the first one, right, Dusty?
Yep.
Right?
I believe we all remember the 50s as a time of open sexuality and just safe spaces and safe words and consent. And
cool magazines called Sexual Bolshevism that all the teens are reading.
Oh my God. I have an issue 1, Sexual Bolshevism from 1948. It is worth so much. Oh my God.
Keep that wrapped in cellophane.
Oh God, I want that timeline so bad. You have no idea. That would be such a great timeline.
God, the movie Grease would have been NC-17.
The movie Grease would have ended right after that, like that lyric in oh my God, what's that first fucking song that like tell me more, tell me more?
Yes.
It would have ended after John Travolta's friend asks if he raped Olivia Newton-John. Like the movie would have had a hard record scratch right there, and then everyone would sit on the bleachers and be like, all right, what the fuck is your problem, dude? That's not okay. Let's talk this through. You're not my friend right now, but we can work through this and figure out where you thought this was a good idea. Hey, masculinity comes in many forms. And then that's the rest of the movie.
And then, yeah, they shrug off the leather jackets and, they're... I'm not saying the word grease means something different in this movie. I'm just saying that they shed their toxic masculinity ideals,
Yeah. All right, if we get a time machine, we are ruining so many things.
I think what we need to do now is completely pivot to the online world of journals. Or maybe this is a new Tumblr venture.
Oh my God. I am both excited and fearful, as one should be when embarking on a Tumblr venture. So as we all know, the State Department chose the second. This mass firing began at the hands of State Department Undersecretary John Purifoy, where he would claim that 91 homosexuals were allowed to resign, quote unquote. Fun fact, Purifoy would also help install a coup in Guatemala that put a military junta in charge and led to a civil war that would last 36 years and end with the death of up to 200,000 people. So take that, communism.
So, oh my God. So he was full of great ideas.
Oh yeah, this guy was a real shit, a real bastard. So that's how it starts.
So glad we purged the State Department of everyone but him.
Sir, maybe we shouldn't. I will let you resign right now. So by 1951, J. Edgar Hoover began what he referred to as his sex deviance program to root out LGBTQ people working in the U.S. State Department. So that program would operate for 2 years, but Una, we still haven't invited the biggest asshole to the party yet.
Roy Cohn?
Ooh, we're talking about the person who invites Roy Cohn.
Oh, wow.
Because not only was noted anti-communist Senator Joseph McCarthy fighting communists, he also wanted the government to be as straight as a Toby Keith box set. And since sexual Bolshevism was already a thing, Joe took it up and molded it into his fascistic power grab. And in 1953, things would get overwhelmingly worse through the signing of Executive Order 10450. In this order, President Dwight Eisenhower demanded that all homosexuals would be banned from work in the federal government of any sort, not just the State Department. 5,000 people would be fired shortly thereafter, and thousands more would be harassed for the rest of their careers. And the executive order would live on until 1995, when the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy of the U.S. military was rescinded.
It lasted that long.
Yep. Recent history.
Uncomfortably recent history.
But where this story falls into line with the interesting and the tragic involves a Wyoming Democratic senator by the name of Lester C. Hunt. Lester Callaway Hunt was born in 1892 in Isabel, Illinois, a very small town in the eastern part of the state. There isn't a whole lot out there about his youth, and most of his online biographies skip from his birth to his time playing semi-pro baseball as a pitcher for a team in Lavender, Wyoming. I tried really, really hard to find his statistics to see if he was any good or not, but he never got to a level where people actually kept track of his statistics.
He just played ball.
Exactly. But this would be his introduction to Wyoming and begin his love affair with the state. Around 1914, he would graduate from Illinois Wesleyan University and then immediately take up a job as a railroad switchman to begin paying for his next degree. Now, switchmen, essentially their job is to move around carts, move switches so trains can stay on tracks and kind of move them around. And he was doing this job to save up money to get a degree in dentistry at St. Louis University. And after getting his degree, he would move back to Lander, the town where he played baseball, and established his own private dental practice. This would be very short-lived, though, because very shortly after he started his practice, World War I started.
Womp womp.
But since he had an expertise in dentistry, that allowed him to enter the Army in a non-combative position.
Oh, yeah.
He would end up signing on to the U.S. Army Dental Corps and would serve as lieutenant there from 1917 to 1919. Upon return in 1920, he would start postgraduate studies in dentistry at Northwestern University.
Hey.
And after a year of doing that, he moved right back to Wyoming and restarted his practice.
Get me the fuck back to the West.
Who needs Chicago? I need open fields. Ugh. I need to not see anyone for a while.
Yeah, I want mountains and then occasionally a mouth in front of me.
I want a mouth that I can keep quiet. I will ask you questions.
Knock you up full of laughing gas and let's take this tooth out.
Oh, man. I'm really loving this version of him. This is great. He would work as a dentist for most of his life, and in 1924, he was appointed president of the Wyoming State Board of Dental Examiners, where he would serve until 1928. By 1933, though, he would get the kick to start running for political office, and that year he was elected to the Wyoming House of Representatives. Now, this would also be the time that he would support probably one of the more fucked up bills that he put his name behind. That year, there was a eugenics bill.
Oh, no. Of course it was. It was 1933.
Look, they're all the rage. We gotta... And this particular bill would have permitted sterilization of inmates at Wyoming institutions if they were, quote, afflicted with insanity, idiocy, imbecility, feeble-mindedness, or epilepsy.
Which is just like all of those things could also just be like your race at that time too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, phrenology and eugenics are
phrenology.
shitty cousins. Now, later on, Lester would state that he absolutely regretted supporting that bill, but we have to note, you did. But luckily, it didn't pass.
Hey, no thanks to you, Lester. Try harder.
And after one term as a member of the Wyoming House of Representatives, Lester did the normal thing and ran for Secretary of State of Wyoming.
Yeah, move on up.
2 years of experience and he's already there.
Listen,
and
is it a gadfly episode if one of these old white guys isn't like, I served my 2 terms, make me president?
That is pretty much the bingo. Is just high aspirations after a minimal amount of experience. But the thing is, the Secretary of State, he did a pretty solid job. The most lasting legacy that he currently has is on the Wyoming license plate. While he was Secretary of State, Lester commissioned the bucking bronco logo that is now used on pretty much everything Wyoming related.
Lester, you should have gone into advertising.
Well, and the funny thing is, the state forgot to copyright it. And so Lester got the copyright and essentially gave it to them, be like, you guys should really think about this.
Oh my God,
know what
Lester!
Copyright is. There was also like a Wyoming journal. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it was created by the Public Works program during the Great Depression. And Lester would end up buying the rights to it and then eventually found out no one copywrote that either. And so it was technically just his. And it became wildly popular until 1942 when he just gave it to the state of Wyoming to be able to make money off of.
Oh, this is too pure.
I mean, remember, eugenics. So
Yes.
I just want to temper that because
He is
Lester C. Hunt is complicated and of the time.
These copyright awarenesses are his Nobel Prize after the dynamite of the eugenics bill.
Yeah, and I think as artists, we're very fond of whenever someone gets copyright correct, that you can just like, oh yeah, good for you. You're not going to get screwed. Love it.
Hey.
And so after serving as Secretary of State for 2 terms, he was elected governor of Wyoming.
Okay. All right.
And the fun thing is, this would be the first time that he would completely unseat a Republican incumbent, a fellow by the name of Nels H. Smith. And following this, Lester became the first ever 2-term governor of the state. Now, during his tenure as governor, Lester did some, let's say, very complicated things. During World War II, the Heart Mountain internment camp had been established to imprison Japanese-American citizens throughout the war. This was part of a wide-ranging program in which Japanese Americans were considered to be potential enemies of the state during World War II, so they were rounded up from their homes, usually taken to desert climates with not great living conditions, while all of the stuff they owned and all the businesses they owned were then taken by the people who were there. And by that, I mean white people stole their shit while they were forcibly imprisoned.
Stole it hard.
It was around this time U.S. Senator Edward V. Robertson claimed that the people interned at the Heart Mountain internment camp were living the high life. They were hoarding food. They were living better than most Americans were at the time, who were rationing out everything from food to steel. And so Lester took it upon himself to debunk this charge in person and visited the camp. After viewing the prison, he stated that, quote, the living standard was, to my thinking, rather disgraceful. And despite this moment of noting that the country was treating their own citizens poorly in these internment camps, following the end of the war, Lester demanded that not a single one of the Japanese American citizens be allowed to stay in Wyoming.
Wait, what?
Yep. I know you have it rough. Get the fuck out.
Like, this place sucks and it's shameful, so get the fuck out my state.
Look, I moved here so I wouldn't see people. Every time someone new here moves, it makes it worse. Also, I'm probably racist in this regard.
There are 17 people in the state. 16 of them voted for me. Get the fuck out.
So in 1949, after his 2 terms ran out, he went the next level up and he ran for Senate.
Hell yeah, you did.
Lester would knock out an incumbent Republican, a dude by the name of Edward V. Robertson, the same guy who was like, those Japanese Americans are living the high life, hoarding food and shit. And Lester, being Lester, was like, well, fuck around and find out, I guess.
Yeah. Bitch, I wish you would.
And as a senator, Lester began to move to a much more liberal view of the world. Now, not like mega liberal or anything, but usually kind of liberal with some not so great caveats, but more liberal than he had been previously. For example, he began by recommending that the American Medical Association and the American Dental Association endorse a plan for the federal government to offer insurance policies with low deductibles, stating, quote, "We cannot maintain our American free and independent practice in the health services by simply denouncing socialization or by a stand-pat opposition." So he's not doing this because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He's doing this because he doesn't want us to move entirely into a socialist Medicare for all system.
So just give us a couple snacks. Don't worry about a full meal.
I mean, it's more ACA than Medicare for all. It's at least something, but it's very much like Mitt Romney's plan when he was governor of Massachusetts.
And this guy had it in what, 1940 something?
Yep.
We could have had it this whole time.
It would, yeah. I mean, so many wonderful ideas that we could have had, but nope, too liberal at the time. But you know what, Una? I think the Democratic Party is right. What we need to do is we need to put in our time, and eventually those liberal policies that we want, we can do those later. It's not like it's going to take 5 decades. My bad.
I have enough baby boomer Democrats in my life right now, Dusty. I do not need it from you, even jokingly.
Fair enough. So Lester also supported the disarmament of American nukes, but mainly because he felt that it would prove that the Soviets weren't on the level. His idea was America would disarm their nukes, Russia wouldn't, and then he could be like, see, they're not disarming, build more nukes.
9-dimensional chess, let's have it.
It's great when the board's nuclear. But after Dwight Eisenhower won the presidency in 1952, Lester became an even more liberal person with his vote, predominantly because he felt like he had an obligation to support the president, whether he was of a different party or not. And so Lester began to support the expansion of Social Security. He supported the creation of a new Fair Employment Practices Commission to help curb racism in hiring, and even supported the abolition of segregation in Washington, D.C.
Oh my goodness.
But the most mega liberal thing that Lester began to support is the hatred of Senator Joe McCarthy.
Ooh, melt it over a spoon and shoot it in my veins, Lester.
Yeah. This isn't the hero we want, but it's the hero we're going to get. So it turns out while McCarthy's star was rising as a ferocious fighter of communists in American society, Lester viewed him as nothing more than a bastard. And that's a direct quote from Lester's own son. Lester viewed Joe's campaign against communism as nothing more than a fear-mongering sham in which McCarthy treated those he suspected as communists with unfair contempt. That anyone who was brought before the committee were just doomed from the start. They would never have a fair trial and would never get the chance to vindicate themselves unless they bowed the knee to McCarthy, which was correct.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things also of Hunt is he was on a TV show of some sort, and he stated, "I have been in politics for 22 years, and I don't believe I have ever met one communist."
Yeah.
Which, if you're going by polling numbers and elections, yeah, communists have never done well in American politics. If you are a communist and you hit 0.5%, you get a medal. You have done great.
They are great for cocktail parties.
Yeah.
Can we just say that? Like communists in general, great for, they stay way too long.
Yes.
They talk your ear off. Yes. But, they usually bring drinks.
Yeah.
And they share like no one's business.
Fuck off. God damn it. So to kind of give a parallel to that, one of the things that Joe McCarthy would state, quote, "If you want to be against McCarthy, boys, you've got to be either a communist or a cocksucker." Which is a good setup to state that McCarthy wasn't just after communists. He equally wanted homosexuals out of the U.S. government. And so the Red Scare and the Lavender Scare were both fueled by Joseph McCarthy. The thing, though, is McCarthy didn't really act alone. Like an 80s teen movie villain or Draco Malfoy, Joe had his 2 background character toadies, Republican Senators Herman Welker of Idaho and Styles Bridges of New Hampshire.
Styles Bridges.
We're going to get to Styles.
We better, because you're going to tell me a man named Style Bridges is in secret.
Styles.
Oh my God.
Plural Styles.
Oh Lord.
Spelled Styles. Yeah. So very quickly, we'll talk about Herman Welker, because Herman Welker is just an uninteresting man of minimal accomplishments. So Herman was a lawyer, and he was a freshman senator when McCarthy was starting to hit it big. And hung around McCarthy so tightly that people began to call Welker Little Joe from Idaho. That's his story. He was a district attorney for a little bit. He's a boring resume and a boring human.
God, yeah, not even interesting enough to start like some kind of whisper campaign about how he was hot for McCartney.
Yeah, no, he was Not even close. Yeah, he looks like the sort of guy who just chain smokes Chesterfields and yells at people for not having a smart haircut.
Oh, Lord.
But as for Styles, though, he is the least cool Styles who has ever existed. And it doesn't help that he was born Henry Styles Bridges. He was most noted for a poorer than most upbringing, and he would work a multitude of jobs before becoming a member of the New Hampshire Public Commission, and then governor of New Hampshire at the age of 36.
Ugh.
2 years after that, Styles would be elected to the Senate and just stay there forever. In John Gunther's book, Inside USA, he describes Bridges as such, quote, an aggressive reactionary on most issues, and he is pertinaciously engaged in a continual running fight with the unions, the Roosevelt family, and the Soviet Union.
He could have just stayed in New Hampshire and been a king, frankly, a king among men.
Yep, he could have been a maple syrup king, but now he hates workers' unions, he hates those fucking Roosevelts, and all of the USSR, and he is just fucking pissed.
Ugh.
So things would start to really kick off between all of these people on June 9th, 1953. And Una, this is where things get a little sad, but also a little exciting. Because we have a track record with people nicknamed Buddy.
No, there's a buddy involved.
We're about to get a new buddy.
Yay!
So on June 9th, 1953, Lester's son, Lester Buddy Hunt Jr., was a 24-year-old man who was a student at the Episcopal Theological School in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where he was also the president of the student body. But on this night on June 9th, he was in Washington, D.C., very specifically Lafayette Square. In an interview in 2015, Buddy would describe that he was walking through the park and noticed a man that he was immediately attracted to. Buddy would state that he does not consider himself gay, but at the time was genuinely attracted to this stranger. They struck up a conversation, and Buddy initiated an interest in the two going somewhere more private. It was then that the stranger revealed himself to be a member of the D.C. police. More specifically, a member of the Pervert Elimination Squad, a division of the Vice Squad tasked with solely arresting homosexual men.
Entrapment.
It's not great. Buddy was then arrested on site.
Oh.
Lucky for Buddy, though, his protocol for the DC Vice Squad was to handle, quote, first-time offenders with more of a warning than a public charge. The U.S. attorney and the arresting officer would both agree that the charges should be dropped, and then they were. However, a pair of people would catch wind of this arrest, Herman Welker and Styles Bridges.
No.
And it's this information that would begin to hatch a very sinister plan between the two and Joseph McCarthy. You see, at the time, the Senate was controlled by the Democrats with the slimmest of technical margins. There were 48 Democrats, 47 Republicans, and a lone independent who often caucused with the Republicans, sometimes leading to a tie, but not a good enough sort of thing for the Republicans to actually have control of anything. Now, the senators could wait until the next election in 1954. It was less than a year and a half away. They could pick a solid Republican candidate to face the popular Hunt, maybe even put together a platform that the folks of Wyoming would love and put in the hard work to take the Senate back for themselves. The thing, though, is that takes patience and effort. And fuck that when blackmail is something that is for the here and now. Because the thing is...
Why walk when you can just jerk your knee?
Well, and part of the problem, though, is that the governor of Wyoming at the time was a Republican by the name of Arthur G. Crane. And if they could get Lester to resign immediately, then Crane had the legal right to appoint whoever he wanted to replace Lester. And being a Republican, he would nominate a Republican, which would then give the Senate to the Republicans. And not only that, by 1954, this hypothetical Republican would become an incumbent, giving them a better chance of winning re-election and keeping the Senate.
9-dimensional chess again.
We could try and make people vote for us because we're better people,
Yes.
or to bring this man's son into this.
Or we could break another human emotionally.
So the senators approached Lester with their information and told them that he had the choice of resigning immediately or face whatever consequences that may be in store. And Lester told them to fuck clean off.
He did not move to Wyoming to even deign put up with this bullshit.
I am not here to talk to people. I have office hours. Well, and it's really interesting hearing people talk about Lester Hunt. In a documentary that I watched, former Senator Alan Simpson was talking about him and just referred to him as a gentle giant of high morals. And it wasn't like you're doing this, you're going to hell high morals. It's like, no, there's a certain level of decorum people need to have if you're going to be in government. And if you're not a good, empathetic, moral person, then why are you here?
Why are you a public servant?
The answer is power. Sheer sexy power.
Oh God.
So in response to this, Styles, Welker, and McCarthy went straight to Plan B. The group approached Roy Early Blick, the director of the Vice Squad of the DC Police, and began inquiring as to why Buddy Hunt hadn't been prosecuted for talking sexually with a dude. And now Blick isn't someone that you would call open-minded. When speaking to a Senate subcommittee on juvenile delinquency, Blick stated the following. Pornography is more dangerous than narcotics because you inject narcotics to an individual and it is over. These pamphlets, these booklets can be passed from one to another. It is the same as a prostitute that can infect an army of men if she is permitted to hang around the camp. It is the same as this pornography that is being passed around. It can be passed from one hand to another, and it is causing a lot of headaches in the country. It is causing kids who are just at the age that they should know right from wrong to become preverts and homosexuals. I know it says perverts, but preverts.
No, but you're
I'm pretty sure they said preverts.
100%.
Yes.
Divert
beforehand.
And then decades later, there would be a thing called dirty needles.
I was trying to figure out a good place to put this in, but there's an educational film on archive.org that is very specifically about the dangers of the homosexual man. And it's just like dudes driving around in fucking Hudsons, picking up dudes playing basketball games, like kids playing basketball games, and just being like, this guy's going to show them some pictures. And it's just like, but it's not like this doesn't happen to girls at all. This doesn't happen to anyone else. There aren't women doing this to God. Like what? There's no nuance here. You're just being evil.
Yeah, and it's black and white. It's like 20 to 40 minutes long when it could be 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's and I think the guys in the cars are coded as greasers too. It's like they're just wearing like a white shirt. Maybe they have like some
kind of sort of. They're like, this if Steve Buscemi was in the 50s doing the hey there fellow kids but was a greaser, that's what it would be. Because he's also wearing those like I think they're all wearing like giant sunglasses that just, scream I will buy a van when it's invented.
100%.
So Blick, not exactly what you would call an open-minded, good-hearted soul. So the prevailing attitude that the senators brought into question is, why was Buddy Hunt immediately let off with more than a warning? And they began to accuse that Blick clearly was paid to let Hunt off. When in actuality, it's like, no, that's just what we do. You first time's free. But they began to threaten that if Blick would not charge Buddy Hunt, then they were going to launch a series of federal audits against the DC Vice Division and make it public that Blick may or may not have taken bribes and that he would have to resign himself in the process. So Blick doesn't have the backbone that Lester Hunt does, accepted the blackmail and immediately reversed course, and Buddy would be charged with solicitation. On October 7th, 1953, Buddy went to trial where he was very quickly found guilty. He was offered the options of either 30 days in prison or a fine of $100. Senator Hunt, who sat by Buddy's side throughout the trial, immediately paid Buddy's fine. Buddy would later state that his father showed up to the trial with a wallet full of cash, more than prepared to pay whatever the fine may have been. Buddy quickly receded back out of the public view. Probably to much of the chagrin of Bridges, Welker, and McCarthy, the story of Senator Hunt's son did not catch on at all. The New York Times did write about it, but the story itself is buried on page 18 and is completely dwarfed by an advertisement for Jarminair shoes and VAT 69 scotch. Nice.
Yes.
It should also be noted that the story they ran carried the simple headline of Senator Hunt's son pays fine, and the whole article is 2 run-on sentences long.
I love it. I can only hope someone else who maybe got like a slap on the wrist for solicitation as well as like, oh, you want me to write what? Oh, I'll write something. Here, go fuck yourself.
It's literally right next to a slightly larger article that, if I remember right, it's like Franciscan Brothers give scholarships.
Yep. Dog cute.
On the A train today, we saw a cat.
Yeah.
So former Wyoming Senator Alan Simpson noted that following the trial, it seemed as though Lester had aged overnight, seemingly having gone gray from the experience. And Lester's wife, Nathel, had suffered similarly as well. Predominantly because of it's a difficult trial to go through, especially if you're worried about your son, but also just the constant threat of being blackmailed by 3 of the most powerful senators in America at the time. Lester would even go as far to tell reporter Drew Pearson off the record that if the senators still planned to use his son's arrest against him in the upcoming election, that he would not run.
No, Lester.
Still, though, the triumvirate of asshole senators weren't able to get Hunt to resign or openly declare that he wouldn't run again. So they put Plan C into action.
Ugh.
Since the national media hadn't picked up the trial of Buddy Hunt, they informed Lester that they would print and publish 25,000 pamphlets detailing the trial and send them to the people of Wyoming.
Oh my God, the amount of effort that could have just gone into a Republican candidate in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The effort.
Like, there's plenty of Republicans. Pick one. Pick one good one.
Build a bench. Like, Jesus Christ.
We need control now, and we need to have it for 7 months. We need it now.
I'm so petty. They're just filled with pettiness.
So on April 5th, 1954, despite these threats and his previous statement to Pearson, Hunt formally announced he would be running for re-election. The Casper Star Tribune noted that a poll that had been recorded recently showed Hunt with 54.5% support in his state. The nearest competitor had around 19.
There you go.
The next month, Senator Bridges threatened Hunt with the barrage of 25,000 leaflets all over again, but Lester then found himself facing a very different Plan D. Turns out Republican President Dwight Eisenhower was also very interested in getting that Republican majority, so he directly offered Hunt a position at the U.S. Tariff Commission. Hunt would offer his opinions on international trade to the legislative and executive branches, and even get a $3,000 pay raise for his troubles, but only if he agreed to resign and never run for Senate ever again. On June 8th, Lester visited the Bethesda Naval Hospital, and upon returning, wrote to the Wyoming Democratic Party that he would not be running for re-election, stating, quote, "I shall never again be a candidate for an elective office."
No.
However, he would not be resigning. On June 19th, Lester entered the U.S. Capitol with a huge stack of papers and a rifle that he had brought from home.
Oh, he's going full Wyoming on their ass.
On his way in, Lester handed the rifle to the security guard and was then given it back after they checked everything else he had and let him go into his office. Different times. So upon entering his office, Lester placed his papers on his desk and then shot himself.
No, oh my God. Oh, no.
Lester would die a few hours later.
Oh, Lord, that sounds terrible.
The very next day, Drew Pearson would report on the private conversations that he had had with Senator Hunt, bringing the plot of Bridges, Welker, and McCarthy to light. Pearson would state, quote, "2 weeks ago, he went to the hospital for a physical check and announced that he would not run again. It was no secret that he had been having kidney trouble for some time, but I am sure that on top of this, Lester Hunt, a much more sensitive soul than his colleagues realized, just could not bear the thought of having his son's misfortunes become the subject of whispers in his re-election campaign." Not 5 days after Senator Hunt had killed himself, Republican Edward D. Crippa would be appointed to Lester's position, and finally, the Republicans had control of the Senate.
Oh, at the cost of being haunted, hopefully, for the rest of their natural lives.
Oh no, these men are never haunted, or are they? But yeah, I mean, it's you know, if you have the choice between running a good campaign against a worthy opponent and winning, or harassing and bullying him until he kills himself,
seriously,
you gotta pick Plan B. It's gonna be cheaper.
Though. I mean, even the president, kind of, sort of bribed him.
Yeah, and it's really devastating. He's a complicated man, but that's not a justification for a death sentence.
No.
On July 9th, 1954, Blick would sign an affidavit claiming that he wasn't pressured by Bridges or Welker to charge Buddy Hunt. And in November of 1954, during the election, the Republicans' win would end up being very short-lived. Democrat Joseph C. O'Mahony, probably one of the best Irish names I have found on here,
it 100% is.
Would end up winning back Lester's seat, and the Democrats would regain control not 7 months later. So a man's life was worth it for 7 months of control of one part of the legislature.
Oh, God. Couldn't have been grosser even if Mitch McConnell had his first session during those 7 months.
So things are about to get, just, of course, a little bit worse. Because on November 9th, the Congress held what we would kind of consider to be an in memoriam at the Oscars, that anyone who had been a previous congressman or senator who had passed, they would eulogize. And the person who eulogized Lester Hunt was Styles Bridges.
You keep his name out of your goddamn mouth, Styles.
Styles referred to Lester as, quote, "a man who demonstrated the best qualities of an American. He was loyal, and he served well." Following hearing this, though, Lester's cousin, a man by the name of William M. Spencer, who also happened to be president of the North American Car Corporation, would write Welker and Bridges and state the following: "I was shocked when I read this. It recalled to my mind so vividly the conversation with Senator Hunt a few weeks before he died, wherein he recited in great detail the diabolical part you played following the unfortunate and widely publicized episode in which his son was involved. Senator Hunt, a close personal friend of mine, told me without reservation the details of the tactics you used in endeavoring to induce him to withdraw from the Senate, or at least not to be a candidate again. It seems apparent that you took every advantage of the misery which the poor fellow was suffering at the time in your endeavor to turn it to political advantage. Such procedure is as low a blow as could be conceived. I understood, too, from Senator Hunt that Senator Bridges had been consulted by you and approved of your action in the matter."
And then there was also a dead fish rolled up in newspaper, or a piece of paper with a black dot on it or something. This has just Sicilian curse written between the lines.
I mean, honest to God, if fucking only. If goddamn only.
God, this episode is becoming so disappointing. Dusty, give me something.
Oh, I will. I will give you something really lovely when we get towards the end.
Great.
So in 1954, 5 years after the death of Senator Hunt, a book by the name of Advise and Consent would be published. And this book would go on to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. The book was based off of Senator Hunt's experience, but changed a little bit in that there is a senator from Wyoming who rumors of a past relationship with a man come up, and he is a man who is currently a senator from Utah, and that information is used as blackmail against the both of them. This particular book was then turned into a movie a few years later starring Peter Fonda and would end up winning the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Ooh.
Now, the movie does have some problematic things, but is a very early movie depicting homosexual men as humans and potentially good people.
And humans.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. So throughout the years, much of the story behind Lester Hunt's struggles would remain a secret. Wyoming historian T.A. Larson had written a paper on Hunt's suicide and presented it to his widow for permission to print it. Hunt's widow responded by threatening to sue him if he ever published it.
Ugh.
Yeah. Good thing he asked.
Yep. That's why you always ask.
And it really wouldn't be until the early 2010s that the history of Lester Hunt and what had actually happened would become publicly known. In 2013, historian Roger McDaniel would gain access to Larson's research and publish a book of his own entitled Dying for Joe McCarthy's Sins, The Suicide of Wyoming Senator Lester Hunt. Following publication of the book, a mock trial was held in Cheyenne, Wyoming, to finally put McCarthy, Welker, and Bridges on trial. Notably, it was kind of a cheerful event because, it is multiple decades separated from what actually happened. But the whole thing was led up by former Democratic Governor Dave Freudenthal, who played the prosecuting attorney, and the three long-since deceased senators were, quote, found guilty of a variety of charges, including blackmail and causing bodily injury. And in 2015, Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin, along with Buddy Hunt, formally requested that Attorney General Loretta Lynch formally reopen an investigation into the actions of Bridges, Welker, and McCarthy. However, no investigation would be launched.
Oh.
So following the death of Hunt, the three senators would suffer drastically different consequences. McCarthy's end is a story for another day, but take solace in the fact that McCarthy died a very painful death of a blend of hepatitis and cirrhosis.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's one of the first professors I ever had in college used to make the joke that McCarthy always said that he had proof in his suitcase, about 95 proof.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good joke.
Herman Welker of Idaho would end up losing after serving only one term as senator, getting his entire ass handed to him by 32-year-old Democrat Frank Church in a 56-39 vote.
Yes, bring in the youths.
He would return to Idaho to farm and lawyer, but a few months after returning, it was discovered that he had a brain tumor, which would kill him only a few months after McCarthy died.
I'm feeling Sicilian curse or like haunting.
Look,
Little Final Destination.
Look, fuck around brain tumor.
Yeah.
That's not how brain tumors work, but in this case, I'll hold on to it. As for Styles Bridges, he would continue on as the senator from New Hampshire until 1961, mainly because Styles ran against a heart attack and ended up losing. The thing, though, is Styles is still regarded very, very highly amongst people. Currently, his former home is the New Hampshire Governor's Mansion. There's a room in the U.S. Capitol named after him, and there is a whole highway in the state of New Hampshire named in his honor. And only recently have people begun to talk about maybe we should not do that.
Yeah.
This guy was kind of a fucking monster.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like people from New Hampshire are crazy in general.
Yeah.
So, like, fine. You want your highway, great. But yeah, like the rooms and shit. No, there's better people.
Yeah. It's a small change.
Like Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Make it the Lester Hunt room. It'll be great. Yeah, he did some shitty stuff, but it's a pathway to better people. And if we have to do small incremental things, then let's just do that. But what about Buddy Hunt?
What about Buddy Hunt?
Well, Buddy would move to Chicago.
Oh!
Buddy got married. He had kids, who then had grandkids. Buddy was a community organizer for Saul Alinsky. He taught labor history at community colleges around the city. He worked for Catholic Charities, one of the largest social service organizations in America, second only to the Salvation Army. And then he moved on to the Industrial Areas Foundation, which is one of the largest faith-based organizations that coordinates social services across the country. He volunteered as a companion to people with AIDS. He volunteered for the Right to Die organization, the Hemlock Society. And he also volunteered as a listener for the Samaritan Suicide Hotline. Buddy worked diligently on Chicago's social service world for decades, actively making the lives of people better. And Buddy Hunt passed away this January in 2020 of natural causes at the age of 92.
Oh.
And so Buddy's obituary does feature three of his family's favorite quotes that he would say. 1, you can always adjust up. 2, every child needs to have 2 parents, because playing one parent off the other is the most valuable life skill a child can learn.
That's cute.
Started off bad, ended really cute.
Yep. Well, hey, just two parents. He's not specifying a man and a woman.
Exactly. But my personal favorite, it is better to die standing than live on your knees.
Classic.
And Buddy still spoke very fondly of his father. There was never any ill will between them. There was never any sort of tragedy afterwards. Buddy respected his father for what he did and for standing up for him as best he could. And Buddy continued his legacy in probably one of the best ways possible.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, to have him lose his father.
And that's the story of Lester Hunt, the 1954 Wyoming Senate election, and the Lavender scare.
Love it.
Yeah, Buddy Hunt is such an adorable old man too that it's like his obituary picture is him and I think one of his granddaughters drinking a glass of wine and just hanging out.
Oh,
He's just so cute. So yeah, how you feeling after that?
so verklempt.
Ah, man. Well, everyone, thank you so much for giving us that time to technologically fuck up. Really hoping this one saves. I mean, you'll know if it does, and you'll know if it doesn't.
Knock on wood, everything's going to be fine.
It's gonna, in the great words of Paul Walker, it's gonna be good. Well, anyway, thank you all for joining us this week on Gadfly, and we'll see you next week on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.